SWAC has produced Hall of Fame players and coaches
that have shaped football as we know it today. But excellence doesn't stop the game clock for us.
Since 1920, the SWAC has produced
some of the nation's leaders, innovators, and trailblazers.
Driven by greatness,
bonded by tradition, and building champions for life.
We continue to submit
ourselves into history.
Baby, we are the SWAC.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cricket SWAC Game Day, presented by Pepsi Zero Sugar. What a weekend. What a weekend. Not a lot of people were thinking Prairie View A&M would lose to Mississippi Valley State. Let's just keep it honest about that. But the Panthers did lose. And then Bedlam occurred in Huntsville, Alabama. It was a whole lot going on, and we'll get to it shortly. Today's show is brought to you by Cricket. Smile your own cricket. Pepsi Zero Sugar, official partner of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Week 12, baby, gave us every possible bit of drama that we could imagine and then some. And as it turns out, the SWAC West will not be decided until the final horn sounds at the Bayou Classic. So let's reverse engineer how we got to this point on a Thanksgiving weekend. And happy Thanksgiving to you out there. Gosh. Forget my manners. I'm so caught up in the drama, I forgot to wish everyone a happy holiday. All right, enjoy the potato salad. Week 12 scores. Woo-wee, what a doozy it was. I know a lot of you guys don't want to relive these numbers we're about to drop on you, but we got to do it. It's part of the show. The SWAC Scoreboard, brought to you by General Motors, official sponsor of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. All right, Alabama A&M 24, Texas Southern 20. We'll get into that. Prairie View A&M 7, Mississippi Valley State 27. FAMU 41, Bethune-Cookman 20. Jackson State over Alcorn State 24-13. All right, let's get into the highlights, and we're going to start where the center of the SWAC universe was on Saturday. It'll Mississippi. Prairie View and Mississippi Valley State. And that's where we find Trason Conley on the move with an 8-yard touchdown in the first quarter to put the Panthers up 7-0. That score would hold through halftime, but then in the third quarter, Orlando Fernandez puts up a field goal to put Valley on the board. Later in the quarter, Jelani Eason finds Sylvester Campbell for a 15-yard pass and touchdown. Valley goes up 10-7. With 34 seconds left in the quarter, the defense of Valley steps up. Kenneth Martin, a 47-yard interception return for a touchdown. It's a pick six for Valley, 17-7 Delta Devils. Prairie View A&M fails to score any points after the first quarter. Valley with 10 more points in the final frame, and they win it 27-7. Put some respect on the name of Valley.
And man, that's just who we are. We never quit. We could have easily tucked our tails and, just gave up on the whole season early. But man, that's not who we are. It's not the program that I want to run. That's not the kind of people that I want to be around. I want to be around hard-nosed people who understand that, man, this is life, man. Life is gonna throw you some curveballs, but it's all about how you finish. And man, that's exactly what I instill in these young men. Because after this, man, 18 of those guys got to go into a workforce. And working is not easy. You're not gonna like you may not like your boss. You may not even like the job that you have at the moment. But one thing you have to do, you have to finish and you have to provide. And that's who we are here at the Valley, man.
Well, I thought we came out and again, I've said all year long, I mean, you got to come out and play every week, here in the SWAC, because if you don't, a team that you think not good, beat you, a team that you think that you should beat is going to beat you. And again, you just got to come out and play football, 4 quarters of football every week, guys, because if you don't, then, you're it's most likely you're gonna come up on the losing end, and that's what we did this past weekend. My hats off to Coach Dancy, man. He had them guys going the second half. He said it. I mean, you can't put it no plainer than they just out physical us the second half. Our guys did not want to play. We started making mistakes, turnovers during the course of that second half, and then we couldn't recover. We had situation where we had them stop, could have had them stop. third down. We missed all our blitz, and and player didn't make the play. And we got to make sure those guys make those plays. We talk about it all the time. When the opportunity presents itself, we got to make those plays, whether it's offense, defense, special team.
So the Prairie View loss opens up the door for Texas Southern to make it into the SWAC championship. Possibly. But first, they would have to defeat Alabama A&M on the road, and it was looking good for a while. Texas Southern was down 3-0 in the second quarter, getting close to halftime, and Kevin Harris scores on a 1-yard touchdown run. And then Andrew Body with a 2-point conversion on the pass to A.J. Bennett. We're now at 8-3 heading into the halftime, favoring Texas Southern. Third quarter, A.J. Bennett for Texas Southern. A 20-yard pass from Body. The score now at 14-3. Texas Southern does go for it on the 2-point conversion, but it is no good. We go to the fourth, and it's Texas Southern rolling. Body finds Randy Masters for a 39-yard pass. That's a touchdown. And once again, we go to the 2-point conversion, but once again, it's no good, leaving some points on the board. But it's a 20-3 ball game in the fourth quarter. Done deal, right? Alabama A&M finally gets some offense going. Xavier Langford finishes off a drive with this 5-yard touchdown run. The score is now 20-10, Texas Southern. It appeared Texas Southern was going to put the game away here. Body dashing in for a show-enough touchdown, but the strip right inside the 5-yard line, that ball bounces out of the end zone, and that is a touchback. A&M takes over at the 20-yard line and goes downfield. Langford airs it out to Cameron Young. That's a 34-yard touchdown. Alabama A&M trims the lead down to 20-17, 6:15 remaining in the game. All right, we're down to the final minute now. Let's fast forward. Texas Southern still with the lead. A stop here on 4th and 1. TSU wins the game. On 4th and 1, Langford gets 38, the touchdown. Alabama A&M with that big come-from-behind victory at home to win it 24-20. That knocks Texas Southern out of the championship picture.
Yeah, not the outcome that we would have liked. Tough outing. I thought we played extremely well for about 55 minutes of the game. Controlled the game early on. Got an injury to our quarterback late in the game, and Alabama A&M got the momentum, and we couldn't stop them. So the outcome of the game went in their favor and not ours.
It was a good football game. We knew it would be. Coach McKinney is doing a super job there with those guys. He's really got that program headed in the right direction. Those guys played hard for 60 minutes, and they're competitive every week. It was a tough loss for those guys, and it was a good win for us. Last year we beat them, I think, 52-49 or something like that, and we had to go for it on 4th and 1, 4th and goal from the 1 with like 40 seconds left in the game, and we was able to execute that and win the game. And this game came down to a fourth quarter game, and we had a 4th and 1, and we was able to break a tackle and run there for a touchdown. So very easily, last 2 years, they could have very easily beat us. Coach McKinney's doing a great job. Got to take your hats off to those guys. But, my guys never quit. We never quit. We was down 21-3 in the fourth quarter, and didn't look good. But the guys just kept fighting, man. And we was able to score 3 touchdowns. And again, we scored a late touchdown to go ahead, and they got it back with maybe 30 seconds or so, 50 seconds, and wasn't able to score. So we was able to hold on senior day and send these seniors out with a W.
So Prairie View A&M loses, Texas Southern loses. That gives opportunity to Alcorn State to potentially make it to the SWAC championship game, but only a chance if they defeat Jackson State at home in the Soul Bowl. Our favorite cousin, D. James, was in the house and caught the action from Lorman, Mississippi.
Jackson State looks to keep on making history this very season. Bringing in a record with 10 wins, 0 losses, the Jackson State Tigers look to get their 11th win as the Alcorn State Braves, coming in at 5-5. Really don't care about their record, but it's one of the biggest rivalries in Mississippi, so they would love to upset those Tigers. What's up, HBCU Game Day family? It's your favorite cousin from Mississippi, D. James, and welcome to Soul Bowl 2022. We got Coach McNair and the Alcorn State Braves, Coach Deion Sanders and the Jackson State Tigers. And if you haven't found out by now, the whole state of Mississippi is SWAC. As we head to the coin toss, Alcorn State won. They kicked the ball off to Jackson State, so we get to see Heisman hopeful Shedeur Sanders come out first. In front of 31,000, Shedeur comes out, hooks up with Dallas Daniels. That's why he's going to the East vs. West Shrine Bowl later on in the offseason. As expected, Jackson State utilized Savion Wilkerson, but Alcorn really did look at some film because even one time, I seen a mouthpiece fly. Even the secondary for Alcorn State was coming up big, but sometimes they made some selfish mistakes. He taunts the player, in which he receives a flag. It takes away from the great play, my boy. Back on offense, Alcorn State's Trey Lawrence hooks up with C.J. Bowler for a nice pickup. It's going down. Alcorn State gave the ball back to JSU, and already Shedeur is showing us that he still likes to run. This time he didn't slide. Alejandro Mata comes out, puts 3 on the board. Jackson State goes up first, 3-0. Howard has been one of the toughest backs to bring down, but Jackson State has been one of the toughest defenses to try to run on. However, Howard is still a very determined back, but that drive did not get Alcorn any points, and the ball goes back to Jackson State. This time, Shedeur gets outside the pocket, and he does that baseball slide like Coach Prime was talking about. The reason for Shedeur getting outside the pocket was the D-line for Alcorn was applying pressure, and right here, Big 99 and the rest of the boys, they finally catch up to Shedeur.
Flag is tackle inside the 1.
After a punt, Trey Lawrence shows that he also has some wheels coming in as a backup quarterback for Alcorn State. Alcorn State utilized the hurry-up offense, so Howard jumped in the end zone before I could catch it, but Alcorn State goes up 7-3. Alcorn State got the ball back, but it didn't work in their favor. Number 92, Justin Ragan for Jackson State, comes up with the strip sack, and Jackson State recovers. Savion Wilkerson jots in for a 2-yard touchdown run. Jackson State has regained the lead. After that, Travis Hunter comes up with his second interception of the season, but the first one he took to the crib. Hey, Jackson State goes up 17-7 at halftime. At halftime, we saw the sonic boom, and we even got to see the baby Tigers as they took the trip from Jackson to Lorman. The Sounds of Dynamite also took the field, and you know how they do when they at home on the reservation. Coming out in the second half, Jarvion Howard still just couldn't find his moves. Jackson State was smothering all running attempts. Well, maybe not all running attempts, but Howard showed that he will work for the yards. Alcorn State gave the ball back, but Jackson State, they couldn't block the D-line. Alcorn State's Noah Kiani came out and got them 3 more points, their final score of the match. And the icing on the cake was Travis Hunter showing the world that he is a dog without a leash, out the cage, in somebody else's yard, doing what he want to do. And final here, Jackson State 24, Alcorn 13.
We try to inspire and encourage and motivate our guys to let them know that every place we play, every team we play against is going to be a fight, regardless of the record, regardless of the thought process going into the game, and they played their butts off. They held us to a season low in yards, season high in sacks of our quarterback. We played well, tremendously well defensively, but we preach offense, defense, and special teams all needs to be intertwined and married to one another, and it was not the case today. And we won, but as you can see, I'm not completely happy about the W.
I don't look at players like that. I honestly, I don't look at them how they hype them up, 4-star, 5-star, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star. It don't matter. Okay. A player's a player. It's not for me to rate them. I don't give them no stars. Sure. For what it's worth, our guys got stars by themselves too. But it's just the idea that we just came out and played the way we played, and I thought it was aggressive.
So, Alcorn State not able to capitalize on the opportunity in front of them, and Jackson State runs back a perfect season in the SWAC for the second year in a row. Let's put a little bookmark right there. We're going to come back to the championship conversation in just a second, but right now, let's keep the highlights rolling. The Florida Classic, Florida A&M versus Bethune-Cookman. The Rattlers don't have a shot at the Celebration Bowl, but the general consensus was an invitation to the FCS playoffs was hanging in the balance if the Rattlers could just get past the Wildcats. Vaughn Wilson with the highlights from Orlando.
BCU quarterback Jalen Jones throws this pick on the first drive as Javen Morgan runs it deep into BCU territory. FAMU quarterback Jeremy Musa would go up top to wide receiver David Manigault for this first down. Followed by this Jalen McLeod run around the left side for the game's first score. FAMU's dark cloud defense would harass Jones all day long. This time, middle linebacker Isaiah Major gets the sack. Anthony Dunn had a career day for the Rattlers. He caught it 3 sacks and 1 additional tackle for loss, as well as recovered this fumble to give the Rattlers the ball in great field position. McLeod will get his second touchdown of the day, carrying the BCU front line into the end zone with him. For the Wildcats, Keyshawn Bird had a productive day. The elusive running back gains big yardage on this run around the right side. To start the second quarter, he would scoot around the right end for BCU's first score. This brought the game score to 13-7 in favor of the Rattlers. Musa would come back and hit Manigault across the middle for another first down. On the next play, Xavier Smith got loose on a post route, and Musa hit him with a dime, leading to the Rattlers taking a 20-7 lead in the second quarter. Smith is from Haines City, Florida, so you know he had to show that Florida salute. After a disappointing performance last week, Jose Romo Martinez nails this extra point without issue. Jones swings this pass out to Bird, who then emulates the Jets' famous butt fumble with this butt tackle. Jalen Jones decides to take matters into his own hands, but mama, there goes that man. Dunn gets his second sack of the game. Jones would then hit Kamari Everett for this smooth one-handed gem. Did I mention that Anthony Dunn was all over Jones? Here he gets yet another sack of the BCU quarterback. Manigault and Xavier Smith find the pockets and wait for Musa to deliver the package as FAMU executes a long drive with grinding down the game clock. You know Willie Shotgun Simmons, and they got me on this one. Musa laterals to Xavier Smith, who double passes back to him, and the offensive line caravan escorts him untouched into the end zone. This time it's Kamari Stevens on the sack of Jones. Halftime has a lot going on, so we're just going to give some props to the band directors. FAMU's Marching 100 band director, Dr. Shelby Chipman, and Bethune-Cookman University Marching Wildcats director, Dr. Donovan Wells. Back to second half action. Bird throws this Madden move to get outside for a big gain for the Wildcats. BCU wouldn't go away easily, scoring as Jones hits Davino Ellington on this post pattern up the middle. FAMU wasn't able to capitalize on the next drive, but Tevin Griffey, son of Hall of Famer Ken Griffey Jr., puts a big hit of his own on BCU's punt returner. That hit got the fans hyped, and then the Rattlers were bouncing. You see him, dun, 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 Anthony Dunn lived in the BCU backfield all day. Jalen Jones goes straight Michael Vick, weaving through the Rattlers deep into their territory. To end the third quarter, the Rattler defense stiffened up the middle. Newly appointed FAMU Athletic Director Tiffany Dawn Sykes was making her rounds at the Florida Blue Florida Classic. we got to mute this part because Coach Simmons simply was not happy. Jones would connect with Everett in the back of the end zone for BCU's final touchdown of the game. The Rattlers would break through and block the extra point. Here we go again with tricking the camera. FAMU punter Chris Fadul, who in high school was a quarterback, flexes his arm, gaining a crucial first down deep in Wildcat territory. Musa would roll out to the right and hit tight end Kobe Gross, who jumps into the end zone. Musa hits David Manigo, who carries Wildcats with him for a few yards, and then Terrell Jennings would make his way to the pylon for the 41-20 final. Willie Simmons and Terry Sims made their way to midfield while the Rattlers had just begun to celebrate, defeating their arch rival in the 2022 Florida Blue Florida Classic.
Well, Jeremy gutted it out. He had probably his worst game last week. Took a lot of criticism, throwing 3 interceptions, but he really came tonight and played big-time football. And that's the type of ability he has. He's a special player. He showed that tonight.
So the Rattlers win. Let's fast forward now to Sunday, where the selection show gets underway, and we begin to hear some rumblings out of Tallahassee that FAMU might not make it in. Now, this on the heels of a report that the NCAA inquired earlier about FAMU's potential interest in hosting a first-round matchup. That happened a couple of weeks ago. But the rumblings turn out to be true. FAMU not invited to the FCS playoffs despite a 9-2 record, with the only 2 losses coming to one of the top teams in the ACC, North Carolina, and an undefeated Jackson State, number 5 in FCS football in the country. A huge disappointment, to say the least. Arvon Wilson, again, with head coach Willie Simmons right after the selection show.
Not to be selected as one of the 24 top teams in the FCS to make the playoffs. We know there are automatic bids, but for a team to be 9-2 that started out 0-2, losing to an ACC team that's up near the top of the ACC, losing to Jackson State, who is at the top of the SWAC and number 5 in the FCS. It just seems that there was nothing else the Rattlers could do but win all 9 games, and they did that, but yet the selectors decided not to choose FAMU. Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, extremely disappointing, to say the least. My true emotions probably won't come out until later on, but I hurt for these guys. They've earned it. Everything they've had to endure, and even the beginning of the season. I think it's a travesty that the selection committee didn't consider everything this team had to endure. And yes, we had a big loss early in the season to an in-state, to our conference rival. But again, everything those guys had to battle during that time, and for them to bounce back and to go on a 9-game winning streak, to keep the nation's second longest home win streak, to have a top-ranked defense, a top-ranked special teams unit, a complimentary offense with a quarterback who's in the top 20 in most statistical categories. It's just really disappointing that I think it continues to show the lack of respect for what we do in the SWAC and the MEAC. We've won 17, I don't know how many straight games, or not straight games, but we only had 2 conference losses in the last 2 years, and they've been to the team that's won the championship both years. And we've won on the road, we won at home, and we've done everything we needed to do. So for us not to be selected and for there to be 7-win teams picked over us, I think really speaks to how flawed the system is. And, but I can't do anything about that but get my team ready to go next season, and we're going to be committed to doing that. But really a disappointing day for these guys, because the hardest thing was to look in their face and tell them that they weren't selected, and I really couldn't give them a reason why.
So with all of that out there in the universe, let's get into the schedule for this week. The SWAC schedule is presented to you by Rocket Mortgage. For an expert partner to help buy your new home, Rocket can. Southern University versus Grambling in the Bayou Classic. The Bayou does not need any extra promotion, but they certainly have it this year. If Southern wins, they are in the SWAC championship. If the Jaguars lose, Prairie View A&M takes the West title for the second year in a row. How is that for drama?
A lot of things I've learned throughout my years, and my very first Bayou Classic, coaching at Southern University as an assistant coach, I had the opportunity of walking through the tunnel with my wife and my daughter, and I bumped into Coach Robinson, and we had the opportunity to talk. And the one thing that's been sticking with me ever since then that I never let leave my side, he said, never let them beat you. So that I understood what that meant, regardless of who you playing, regardless of who coached you, regardless of what the situation is, you got to prepare the team that you with to win. So I understand clearly, there's no question about it, because I know Coach Robinson was a winner. So it doesn't matter, and that's what he produced, winners. So regardless of what situation you're in, you got to go out and execute and get the job done.
And not to be forgotten, the Turkey Day Classic, Alabama State plays on Thanksgiving at home. It's a tradition. This year's opponent, Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Yeah, well, usually it's this is the 98 Turkey Day Classic. I didn't talk about that in my intro, but, for us, that's a huge game. Me being an alumnus here, it's always traditionally we play Tuskegee, and we have a parade. The whole city of Montgomery gets into it. So it's a great time for us to showcase the school and everything. But the contract with Tuskegee wasn't inked for the last couple of years. And so we'll be playing them the next 3 years, starting next year. And so we needed an opponent to play, and it just kind of worked out with Pine Bluff. We was able to move that game, which would have been this previous Saturday, and move it back to Turkey Day. So they kind of helped us out with that. So, it was good. And so that's usually we don't play a SWAC school, but it just so happens that it'll be Pine Bluff this year. So.
I think anytime you have that bye week, it does lend itself to allowing, young men and it doesn't even have to be an injury, but just, the normal bumps and bruises and the wear and tear of a season, as you guys know, man, in a physical conference that we play in, it can wear on the body a little bit. So I think it would be more so just the young men that have continuously played and performed, game after game, just giving them a couple of days that you were able to do or afforded to do because of somewhat of a bye week. It's not a full bye week, as we know, because we do play on Thursday, but I do think that does help. And even from a mental standpoint, as you guys know, the season can certainly take a little bit of a toll. It's sometimes nice to be able to sit back and take a breath of fresh air and then kind of come back in and refocus as you move forward.
And now the SWAC standings heading into the final game of the regular season. Have to remember, Alabama State, UAPB, Southern, and Grambling did not play this past weekend, so their numbers haven't changed yet. SWAC standings brought to you by General Motors, official sponsor of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. All right, you look at the SWAC East, and there's nothing left there to be decided, but a big congratulations to Jackson State for finishing the season undefeated. The first ever perfect regular season in school history for Jackson State. There's a lot going on this week, but we want to take time to give JSU their flowers. Out west, you see that Prairie View A&M ends this regular season with the 5-3 mark in the SWAC. Southern with one more game to play. If they beat Grambling, they are 5-3 in conference, and they win the head-to-head tiebreaker with Prairie View. If Southern loses, then the Panthers are returning to the SWAC championship game. It's that simple. It was complicated heading into last weekend, a little more simple this weekend. Time now for the SWAC Players of the Week from their performances from last weekend. Players of the Week brought to you by Pepsi Zero Sugar, official partner of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Okay, here we go. Alabama A&M's Xavier Langford, Jackson State's Justin Reagan, and Travis Hunter, along with Mississippi Valley State's Orlando Fernandez, your SWAC Football Players of the Week. On offense, Langford, the dual threat for Alabama A&M, 6 of 8 passes for 113 yards and a touchdown, and 76 yards rushing and a pair of touchdowns in the win over Texas Southern. On defense, Reagan, 5 tackles, a career-high 3 sacks, and a career-high 3.5 tackles for loss in the Tigers' win over Alcorn State. That completes that undefeated regular season. Specialist Fernandez, perfect on the afternoon. Field goals of 36 and 26 yards. He also contributed 3 successful PATs. Newcomer of the week, Hunter, scored 2 touchdowns in Jackson State's win. On defense, he had 4 tackles, returned a pick 6, 44 yards for the score, and had 3 pass breakups. Offensively, 2 passes for 49 yards and a key 19-yard touchdown reception. Your SWAC Players of the Week. Well, that's it for this week's Cricket SWAC Game Day. A very dramatic one, to say the least, presented by Pepsi Zero Sugar. Enjoy that Thanksgiving weekend, the Turkey Day Classic if you're going to be in Montgomery. Of course, if you're going to be down at the Bayou, have a great time. You know, I don't think there's going to be any bigger Grambling fans this week than the good folks from Prairie View. I think they're going to trade in some of that purple for some black and gold for one day at least. Southern wins, they're in. Southern loses. Prairie View A&M goes back to the SWAC championship. You got it? All right, we've covered it. That's how it goes down this weekend. Enjoy those holidays, everyone. I'm Tolly Carr from Atlanta. I'll see you next time.